Hello, everybody. This is Father Olson, and I want to share with you in our preaching page something that I think is really important to us at Villanova. I hope you saw the news, but in August of 2021, Villanova University became the permanent custodians of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s famous "I Have a Dream" speech. And there's something about that speech that stirs everybody, regardless of whether you were there at the time or even alive at the time. When you hear that speech, it's incredibly moving. And the fact that Villanova has even a little piece of touch with that great moment in American history is a point of pride for all of us, and also a responsibility for all of us to seriously look at this. It's considered universally to be one of the greatest speeches in American history, and one of the greatest speeches in history in general. Um, so let me talk about this just a little bit. Um, when Martin Luther King gave this speech, this was in August of 1963 in Washington, D.C., on the National Mall, on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. We look at somebody like Dr. King, and we think of him as this iconic figure, which he is, but he was only 34 years old at that time. And he was already considered to be the moral voice of the civil rights movement. And so he was asked to give this speech. Now, he was one of several speakers that were there that day, and also several other prominent African Americans, including Mahalia Jackson, who was a famous gospel singer. But Martin Luther King was the one that people came to hear and to listen to. And the pressure he was under was incredible. And as a fairly young man, he is asked to give this speech. And you can see on this webpage, I have a link so you can watch the speech yourself. But I want you to look at his body language, at his nervousness, and then look and listen to the speech in that way. Now, I've also provided here the full text of the speech, but I'm going to say full text in like quotation marks, because a little known fact, but I hope now at Villanova we're going to know it better and better, is that the most famous part of the speech, the "I have a dream" part, was not part of the written text. And you'll see this if you're ever fortunate enough to view the text itself. When it's right now it's on loan, but when it comes to Villanova, you'll be able to see this yourself. So what happened? What was the story behind it? Well, this, in my view, is where we will watch before our eyes how a really good speech, and it was a good speech, or even a great speech, became something transcendent as he gave the speech. And in my view, it went. Martin Luther King was a preacher at heart. That's in his bones. And this speech went from Martin Luther King as very good speechmaker to Martin Luther King transcendent preacher. Now, the speech was going fairly well, but you'll be able to see when you look at the body language of everyone around him. It didn't really pick up steam until, I guess, about two-thirds of the way through. In the text that I have below, you'll see that I've highlighted the words where he moves from making a generic speech to actually addressing the people that are in front of him. And all good preaching means that we address the people who are in front of us, regardless of how good the rest of our content is. So Dr. King, through the whole beginning of the speech, it's well done, well crafted, and he talks about the situation of the African American people. In his moment at that time, still in history, he referred to the people as the Negro. But it's not really directed to the particular people that are right in front of him. But then at a certain point, he says to them, "I am not unaware that many of you have come from a great distance and suffered." And at that point, when he says that, He's directly addressing them, and you'll see people start to pay attention more. Shortly after that, Mahalia Jackson says to him, "Tell him about your dream, Martin. Tell him about your dream." And this was not part of the speech that he was going to give, but he had given versions, not this exact one, but versions of the "I Have a Dream" speech before. And he had been thinking about this and working on this. And so when she says, "Tell him about your dream," and he moves into the most famous part of the speech, it's something that he's not making up off the top of his head. It's something that has been in his heart, and he is now, as I would put it, he's preaching from the heart. Not off the cuff, but from the heart. What you'll notice when you watch the video, and I really want you to pay attention to this, is his eyes. Again, he's scared to death, right? So for the whole first part of the speech, he's got his text in front of him, and he's looking down at the text, up, down, up, down, up, down. As soon as he gets to "I have a dream," watch his eyes. His eyes are fixed on his listeners. He doesn't look down ever again, all the way to the end of the speech. He doesn't look down, because it's not there. But it is in his heart. And the way that he speaks it, the way that he preaches, it puts his dream into our hearts as well. Watch this video. Watch what Dr. King says. Watch what he does. And think about how preaching from the heart can affect the way our listeners receive our message, and how it can move their hearts. Watch the video now.